that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody, I need a weapon, and welcome back to the Halo Expanded Universe. Today I have for you one novel and a short story, but first I also wanted to bring up real quick, don't mind the plate back there. Here's Halo Last Light. I didn't get to show it off last time. I really like the artwork though. Here's Vita Lopez, whatever, that's her though. She's also in this story I'm about to review. There's Fred. There's Olivia. And, yeah, Troy Denning. Just want to show that off, that I do indeed have it. I didn't have it during my last light review. But today, we're not talking about it just yet, because I gotta talk about the short story. But we have Halo Retribution, also by Troy Denning. I really like the cover art. Nothing is interesting on the back though, it's just like the ship but yeah. First I have Halo Fractures again, A Necessary Truth by Troy Denning. This takes place 3 months after Last Light, and it's basically just a big training mission, but it kind of becomes a bigger thing as you hear about this organization called Dark Moon, which we'll get more into in Retribution. And that's basically it without getting into spoilers. I don't really have any spoilers to mention either. But it's a decent little story that you can read. You don't absolutely need it though. But it's something you can read before jumping into Retribution. Which publication-wise was later. Because there's a lot of things mentioned in this book that don't show up till way later, chronologically. But that's because publication-wise this didn't come out till after those things. But now we have, as I said, Halo Retribution by Troy Denning. This takes place 2 months after the short story, so 5 months since Last Light. And we're basically following Ferret Team again as they're going on another mission. Of course, we got the Keepers of the One Freedom again. They're involved. So is Intrepid Eye, the ancient Forerunner Ancilla. And, you know, they're doing a whole bunch of things and trying to stop another thing. It's all very basic. And overall, again, I'll just say, like, it's a good Halo book. If you want more Halo, you'll get it out of this book. In terms of super memorable characters or a super compelling story, I gotta be honest, it's a run-of-the-mill sort of story. You know, it feels like a very much as if a side plot for Han and Leia in one of Troy Denning's Star Wars books was the main plot of this book. It's kind of what it feels like. And it's fine. It's solid. It's just not... I don't think I'll remember much about it after having read it. You know what I mean? And I feel the same way about Last Light. The biggest contributor here that I actually think is generally something I won't forget that are memorable is Intrepid Eye. I think is a really interesting character. Along with Vita Lopez, I think she's a really consistently good female protagonist. And Castor, the Jin Harley Brute. I think he's an absolutely super interesting antagonist. I wouldn't exactly call him a villain, but a super interesting antagonist. Really enjoy to see it. And that's pretty much my thoughts non-spoiler wise. I know it's kind of short. I wasn't really feeling this one as much as the previous one. Even then, the previous one wasn't the most spectacular thing ever. But there's good world building here and good connections to other stories, like Saren Osman, or there's a son in here from Silent Storm. That was really cool. So little things like that. But overall, good. But I don't think you'll remember it in a month after reading it. And I think that's a big deal. Anyway, spoilers. If you don't want it, there's a door. So, as I said, Naito, son from Silent Storm. There's a guy named Naito from Silent Storm. And I don't know if Silent Storm was written after this or not, but still, it was a really cool connection. The Banished get mentioned. That was a pretty big deal. Now, they're not in the story, but they're mentioned and compared. In fact, we have a direct comparison between the Banished and Keepers of the One Freedom. So the Banished, first and foremost, they've got it's the Covenant 2.0. They've got jackals and skirmishers and brutes and Sangheili and grunts. They got everybody on their team. But they're also atheists. They don't believe in the Great Journey, they don't believe in the Forerunners, and they don't believe in any gods. However, because of the war against humans, they still really hate humans, and they will not allow any human to the Banished ranks. As opposed to Keepers of the One Freedom. No Sangheili, no grunts, mostly just jackals and skirmishers and brutes. And they do allow humans to join their ranks if they so choose. However, they have to be religious for the Forerunners, because they still believe in the Great Journey. They still believe in the Forerunners. So there's some differences there that are pretty substantial and interesting, and I really enjoy it. Kind of expands the universe, makes it so there's more than just what we see in the video games. Like Keepers of the One Freedom is not a video game antagonist. You never see them in a video game, as far as I'm aware. So these are a book only faction, and I think that's really cool. And there are connections to the Banished that are mentioned here, which is I think also pretty cool. Kind of brings those stories up a bit as well. So overall, just really enjoy that comparison. Aatrox is even mentioned here. This is kind of furthering near the end of the book, but I'm going to mention it anyway here because I mentioned Aatrox. And it's not a huge thing, but they do mention that Aatrox, during the war against the humans, during the video game era, and the whole 25 years prior to that, he was actually part of the like a war team with Castor. So Castor knows of Aatrox. They fought together. I just think that's a really cool connection. And we won't deal with Aatrox again for a long time, unless he pops up in a novel that I don't know about. But as far as games are concerned, the last time we saw him was in a comic book, so it'll be a while. Intrepid Eye does some blackmail. Anytime Intrepid Eye's dialogue scenes are always like some of the highlights of these past two books for me. Have been pretty solid. And then there is this other Dark Moon faction, kind of an insurrectionist, growing group, and they're trying to blame the Keepers of the One Freedom and Gao for other things. That way they can be a distraction while they do their thing. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It was kind of like everybody's against each other, but everybody's also got to kind of be on the same side because one person's trying to frame others, and that was pretty fun. But like I said, it's going to kind of run the mill. Fred and the blue team get way less screen time here. And I love all the Spartan 3s. They're all fun, but again, not super duper memorable for me. Vita has to kind of carry the entire thing on her back, and even then, she's fun, but she's also not the most original character I've ever seen. So overall, I had a lot of fun with the story. It was a good Halo story. It's just not something I think is very memorable, but I still had a lot of fun with it, and I do recommend it. If you like Halo, you'll probably enjoy this. But yeah, up next, I think I might have some short story, possibly. And then we move on to, what is it called? Something. It's something. It's called something, Hunters in the Dark or something like that. We'll see. But that's going to be by Peter David, who's a very prolific name, which we'll talk about in the next video. So until then, guys, let's finish the fight. Till then.